Hey everyone, welcome back to Tuesday Tea with me, Alisha Bowker Mudrock. Today I have a dear friend, Lanay, with us. She is going to chat all things around how to elevate our best business and career self. But first, I'll just give her a little introduction. I've known her for many years now, too many to count. I don't know. I can't even do math, like almost 10 probably. And when I used to live down in New Orleans, she was one of my first friends there, took me in like as family. It really helped that transition. But she is an incredible real estate agent, mom of two, and always has lots of other entrepreneurial um, pipelines in the works, which she's going to tell us all about. But she's a huge inspiration. Definitely a lot of my own courage to take risks and kind of start my own businesses have come from just seeing her pave that way and succeed and be so inspiring. So I'm excited to have her here today, not only selfishly as my friend to catch up, but just the wisdom that she has to share with all of you. So welcome, Lanay. Thanks so much for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Let's just get into it. So I guess when we think about the phrase like elevating yourself in business or in that career persona, like what kind of comes to mind? Where do you want to take us with that?
I think what's probably helped me the most is realizing that even though I want to learn everything and do it all on my own, it's not realistic. And I
Mhm.
I do much better when I am networking with other people with similar goals, um, and are doing this like they're trying to accomplish similar things. It inspires me, it feeds me, it opens my mind when I'm around other people who are entrepreneurs or real estate professionals or whatnot, and they're thinking outside the box. And so when that feeds my soul, it gets me thinking and then striving for more. And not in a competitive type of way, of just more of, oh, wow, if they can do it, then I'm sure I can do it, right?
Right, right.
And they're not letting fear hold them back. So I
Yeah.
need to stop letting it hold me back just because it's unknown.
Right. I think of like that's why sometimes like workout class is better than being by myself because when I'm alone, I'm like, I'm not gonna hold that plank for 10 more seconds. But if I'm like, this bitch next to me is still holding it, I can hold it longer. It's like I want us all to succeed, but that like competitive rub or their source of strength and persistence kind of like feeds us too, right? And I think that translates to other arenas outside of Pilates class. But I know that
Absolutely.
I do better with
Absolutely.
people around me for sure.
I do too. I do too. I push harder
Yeah.
because the eyes are on you.
Right, right.
Oh,
And the energy, like you're saying, like I think we know a lot, we have good ideas, but sometimes we get in our own way, right? Where we only know as much as we know, or we're like really looking over here and we forget about all this. But you get other folks in the room and they have an idea or say something or are doing something. You're like, God, never even thought of that. That's so brilliant. Let me take my own spin on it. But I wouldn't even have dreamt that up if I hadn't been collaborating or gaining the knowledge and wisdom from other folks who, why make it hard? Like, why reinvent the wheel, right? We're all sort of re-replicating similar stuff just with our own spin. So let's like see what else is out there and what wisdom people have to provide.
exactly, exactly. I do a lot in wholesaling and or doing more in that because the New Orleans market isn't moving very much. So it's kind of makes me flex my muscles a little bit and like, okay, now I get to figure this out. It's like
Yeah.
problem solving. Okay, I'm not making enough here to sustain what I need. So now what can I do to change that or adjust it? So um, I've done companies where I'm helping service houses, like we're doing pipes under houses and on. I partnered with somebody who has that knowledge, but he also needs help. So in that way, flexing into that direction of the services and support for a field that I know very well. And then also, I guess so that's one way to do it. I'm wholesaling. We have something where you call it a JV, a joint venture. So what you would do is you find a house and maybe you haven't found the end buyer for that house. So you will reach out to your contacts, and you shouldn't look at them as a threat necessarily, but as a resource. So
Right.
I'm go to another wholesaler and say, hey, do you have a buyer for this? And if you do, then we can work out a deal and
Collaborate.
split proceeds or whatnot.
Nice.
Because I think a lot, especially in the real estate industry, when you're an agent, everyone gets very secretive
Mine.
and they're
Budget.
clawing at holding on their clients, where instead of having a collaborative view of how to get things accomplished, where we can all win.
Great. What do you think helped you when you kind of came up across that struggle of, oh gosh, like the market, which can be very volatile at times, isn't turning the way it was maybe a year or so ago, instead of just sort of like getting stuck in your own stress or just like sitting down and like giving up, or I don't, like what kind of helped you to harness the strength or the ability to look for these other options or to take the risk to venture into some of these joint ventures that aren't as familiar in the midst of, I'm sure, something that felt kind of stressful when, when our income changes unexpectedly, it's not nothing. We got to have money to live. So what helped you get through that a little bit?
Um, I am with a network of people, like I have a mastermind that I'm part of. And so because they're always looking forward to the future, kind of saw it coming a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, didn't expect it to hit quite as hard as it did. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, it's coming. All
Right.
right.
And then it's like, oh,
And
it's
it's
here.
here, and you're like, ah. But
Yeah.
because of that, they were kind of prepared and always innovating.
Okay.
And again, that was kind of feeding, And then some of it is just like, why not? This guy needed help with his plumbing company fixing pipes under houses. And I bring a systems background and, can do in supporting that. So why not try it? And if it doesn't work out, well, then we'll try something else. And in some cases, it's just really throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks. And it was low risk.
Right. Right. It wasn't like, here's $1 million I don't have.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
He
well, I
wasn't
hope it
asking me
works,
to.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, oh, hey, I'm doing a franchise. I need 50 grand from you.
Right.
Well,
Right. Well,
no,
it's,
it was simply a lot of time investment and very little monetary investment other than to get the LLC up and running.
yeah. Which, I mean, you always got to spend a little to make a little, right? But
Exactly. And so, but I got paid back within 2 months. So
yeah,
that plus,
right. Some profit
you know,
and
yeah, just getting up and running. And it always takes a little bit to get up and running. I'd say don't get discouraged.
yeah.
If you have a vision,
Yes.
don't get discouraged. Don't let yourself get discouraged.
Right.
Just if you have enough at bats, and that's what my group's always talking about. Like, hey, look at everything as feedback. So,
Hmm.
okay, I could have done that better. And now let me go and do it
But
better.
better. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a waste of like, that was too much time put in for something that didn't feel worth the return, whatever that return was. Now I know I'll guard that time differently for other projects, or I'll think about that in a different way than
right,
maybe you did the first time.
right.
And I think that's such a good reminder that things take time. I think we live in a world where we see like the instant successes, the YouTube star, I guess not even TikTok star that, like blew up overnight for saying something random. The like one person put that one song out and the right person heard it. And again, those are like one in a million. Those things do happen, but that's not as common. And the success is a fast burn and quick, right? And I think it's reminding us like that slow and steady. We talked about this last week, this word consistency.
Mhm.
Like keep putting work in, keep putting effort in, like keep with your vision, making sure that I'm sure is so important. If we don't really know where we're headed, we could be spending a lot of useless energy on things that aren't going to get us towards those end goals. So
Right.
even if it takes longer than we expected, or we're not really sure what that timeline is going to look like, I think it is such a good reminder to keep going, not to just give up after like 1 month of trying something. Like I don't know the stats, but I'm sure a new business, it's not 1 month. Usually,
No.
like seeing returns, right? I'm imagining it's probably a year or so. Um,
Right, right,
or even a new job, even if you're not starting your own job, like, right, like your own business, you're working for someone, but even if in the first couple months it isn't everything you imagined, what can you get out of it? And like nothing has to be forever, but how can we sort of capitalize on where we are at to inform us of how to get to whatever those next steps are to keep elevating, even if that like big elevation isn't going to be for a while, we're still sort of constantly moving up we're keeping with that analogy, through all of the like rote kind of boring stuff. But I think that's the stuff that really gets us to those big goals, right?
It does. A lot of people don't realize that before they had that hit song or all those followers, they were doing all the steps
Yeah,
that are grudging
yeah,
and trying, you know. So I think that you're right about that. And, you know, you just kind of have to hold on to the faith and keep moving.
yeah,
I mean, was there's a movie and quote, some goofy movie, but movement is life.
yes.
Like if you
Movement is
stop moving, you lose your mobility, you're gonna die.
yeah,
You know, and I know that's morbid and everything. So all the time I think of that in my head, movement is life. I got to keep on going, keep on moving.
yeah. My
Yeah.
grandmother used to say before she did pass about a year ago, but she'd always say, Alicia, I wake up, my feet hit the ground and I gotta go. If I stop, I'm gonna die. And, again, she wasn't trying to be like dramatic, but she wasn't wrong. She fell, she got more sedentary, she started to decline. That was a big part of all of that, right? I mean, she was gonna pass at some point, but it's true. Like if physically and otherwise, when we let something just sit, it festers,
Yeah.
it dies, it doesn't grow. Like even our brain stops creating those new neural pathways and being elastic and replenishing. It sort of like can also like start to die out, as well, if we're not using our brain, using our skills, using our bodies. So I think, again, not to be morbid, but to just be realistic,
Yeah.
that's important. That's an important reminder to have, and it can feel really hopeful, I think, too. It doesn't have to be like, oh.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I work out like a beast, but it's with this idea. I mean, I was sick when I was 28 and I had cancer, but the idea is that, you know, I've already kind of faced life-threatening things, and a lot of people have by this time. I mean, I'm, you know, 47, but I think that what motivates me is to just be around longer, and I have kids and things like
Yeah,
that, just keep striving. I had that motivation.
yeah.
And then you don't have to have kids to have that motivation, obviously, but
Oh, but that's
what
a
it
huge
is for
drive.
you.
Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
get that. What do you think has helped you shape your business identity? Like who you've wanted to be as a professional person in all the iterations? Like what's kind of been your anchors? How do you think about that? Do you even think about it? What would you say has kind of been your journey?
Um, I think it's more like what you said of having the goal in mind and what I want my life to be
Mhm.
and how I want to live in this world. Like my parents were entrepreneurs, and I always felt they've always been a guiding star for me. So, and they've both passed now, but they kind of keep that North Star, and
Yeah.
you kind of have to keep that in mind because
Yeah.
you're going to vary and do different things and all that. You're going to have temptations to stop or whatnot. And
Mhm.
listen, you even if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you're trying a different business, maybe you still have an 8 to 5 job in the meantime while you're doing it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be an all or nothing, especially when you get started, because it's scary, right? And you
Right.
still have to put food on the table.
Right. Get health insurance or you need that 401k. Like sometimes you don't have a partner or another option for those except for through maybe an employer in addition to whatever you're trying to do as well.
Right, right. And sometimes what you're choosing to do is not necessarily the thing that, like, real estate was something that I chose to do because I mean, did I stumble on it in a way, but not really. I mean, to me, real estate is fundamental. Everybody wants their own piece of
That
this
needs
world,
nice.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I got into it and I didn't really know what I was doing, but you know, here I was.
Yeah.
And then it's
Yeah.
evolved and I've learned more
Yeah.
and it has become more interesting, you
Mhm.
know, but I guess what I mean is sometimes you're picking something that's going to support your lifestyle.
Yep.
And if you like it, even better. But sometimes it's really the thing you're doing so that you can pursue your artwork or pursue your other passion that isn't necessarily totally feeding you just yet.
Right.
Like, did I think I was going to be in, like, you know, a business where we're supplying pipes under our houses? No. But it's still
It,
enabling
it
me
fits
to,
your it fits your area of expertise, and it's like a
right.
new creative way to expand that when people aren't able to buy houses as much as possible,
Right.
right?
And we don't have to be locked into this one way of doing
Mhm.
things.
Mhm. No. My coaching mentor, I don't remember the exact word she uses, but she's always like that 9 to 5 is your best like investor, right? Like if you have that 9 to 5 and you can do your passion project alongside of it, that is your steady paycheck. That is your anchor. That is like funding so that it's
Right.
not some expensive hobby, that it's actually something that eventually can grow fruit and make profit and sustain you. But why not if marry both if it's an option, right? Or maybe you have extra supports where that can be your, that investor and you can have the space and the creativity. But I think that is so true. It's kind of what is your end goal with your professional self? Is it money? Is it status? Is it a better balance? Like where you have more freedom with your time? Is it freedom with your creativity, freedom with your control? They can't all be at the top. So I think if we're clear on what that order is and what that looks like, it helps to line up the steps that needs to be taken to get the most optimal version of that list. Right? Today it might not be that you have all the time freedom, but if that's the goal, like what are the things you can do to get to time freedom or financial freedom or whatever,
Right.
or clout? Like maybe you want to be the CEO of something. So you do start your own company or you work up in the one you're in. That you need to be aware of that because that's going to then probably be a lot of time investment. So that might not
Oh
need
yeah.
to be as high at the top if that's the goal. So I just think vision, I talk about it probably almost every talk, but it's just so important because if we're just aimlessly wandering around, one, we might miss opportunities. Like, I bet if you were very clear, like, okay, I still want this lifestyle, I still need to do these things. Like, what do I know? And then pipe guy comes along, you might have been like, what are you, you're crazy. I don't know. Get out of here. I don't even know what you're talking about. Right. Versus you're like, oh, this could fit. Like, I'm open to this idea because I'm aware of my strengths and what I need to do, but I'm like, I need more to get to this vision. I'm not so blocked off that like these really cool opportunities arise and I'm just ignoring them
Right.
because I'm so like tunnel vision over here in an unhelpful way, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If I were just going to try and make it as a real estate agent, I would be beating my head against the, I mean, I would have had an 8 to 5 job by now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not what you would call your, gun ho agent who's going out there and doing 200 deals a year. I don't want to live like that.
No.
Doesn't sound fun to me. So I structure my life the way I want it,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Like, yeah, monetary, this and that's all great, but when you're putting yourself in the ground because you're not happy, and that's what would have happened if I had chosen that path,
Exactly.
but there's another way to do it.
Exactly. And that's where you were clear on your like family balance, time
Mhm.
freedom. I want that financial number, but I don't need, I mean, who doesn't need more? But you're not
Right,
like, I have to just, it's all that motivates me. It's like this feels good. I can live how I want to live. I take my vacations. My kids don't want for things like that. I feel comfortable, right? And I can like play and have fun and do all of this too. So
right.
I think if you're not clear, it's so easy to get sucked into whatever your industry unhealthy trends are and or just like the world telling you things you need or what your priority should be. And I think when we give that power away, it's so detrimental because
Mhm.
one, it's not going to be fulfilling because it's not what we want. And two, I mean, could you imagine just like handing over the reins of your life literally to somebody else and being like, yeah, figure it out. And then you're like 8 years from now, what happened? Right? Like
Right.
this is the one thing that is ours that we do have full like power over. And I think we're so quick to give it away sometimes. And I don't even know that we realize that we're doing it either, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's very tempting. Like,
Mhm.
because if I don't make decisions, it's not my fault,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
I can blame it on somebody else.
Yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, our lives are, I mean, to
It
the
is
moment where we
ultimately.
are now, it's because of the choices we've made.
Yeah. And ultimately those decisions are yours. And by choosing to not make it, you were still making a choice. And so
Exactly.
therefore it still like comes back on us, right? And not to say like we're responsible for every bad thing, right? Like not to get on that vein. It's just ultimately if I'm not continuing to align and negotiate with the other people and things wanting my attention and wanting their driver's seat to be in charge, and it is in negotiations and compromises. But I think empowering ourselves to come back to the choice of like, I though have the last say. I get to choose how elevated I want this to be. I get to decide where I'm going with this. Even if those decisions seem very finite or constrained at moments, there still is choice in it. And I think that that can feel really freeing versus being like a negative or getting stuck on all the stuff we can't control or that doesn't feel like it's in our power right
Right. I think some of the best advice I've had, at least in the last year, was to focus on what your biggest constraint is.
now. Mm,
So what is holding you back, and focus on that and find a way around that first, and
mhm.
then deal with the next thing that comes. So you're not in this state of overwhelm,
Yes, yes.
you know?
One step at
So
a
is it money? Is it time? Is it, whatever it is in that
time.
constraint? How can I get past that and focus on that and maybe get those answers? And then you can focus on the next thing.
Right, right. So nice,
Yeah.
like, these damn interest rates are my biggest constraint. But I think
Well, to tell you the truth, as an agent, yes, if I have buyers and even for listings, but if you have
selling.
investment, people who buy for investment, they have a lot of cash offers. They're not afraid of interest rates if they're borrowing. The numbers
That's
just
true.
have to work.
Yeah.
So some of the better agents, better than me, and what I've realized with this kind of down market is the ones who are really being fed right now are the ones who have people who invest over and over and over again.
So that would be a workaround for that, right? Like, how do I
Repeat
use this to
business.
my benefit versus it feeling like this detriment, so to speak?
Right. Right.
Interesting. Yeah. Or I think even your own version of, okay, well, like, what else can I do? Like, what else is available to me that still is within my wheelhouse, but maybe it isn't, turning out the same amount of sales this year because it's just not going to happen. So, like, what other things can I, so I don't have to like go back to school or get a whole new degree or like, totally reinvent myself, but I can like pull it in and capitalize on what strengths and foundations I
Exactly.
already have.
Exactly. So for like with real estate, it'd be like the wholesaling or finding off-market properties
Yeah.
and marketing them to investors. Like I know real estate. I've been in it since 2012.
Yeah.
So I
You're
know
like,
how
"Here's
to
my
analyze
space."
houses and know what the numbers need to look like. So I can go do that for people who are still moving and buying
Yeah. And
elsewhere.
people are, I guess.
Oh, they are.
We love her this time.
Investors are just gobbling up properties right now.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause they're no dummies.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And I love just how thinking about particularly your industry as an example of how instead of those things being negatives or barriers, just like how creative and multifaceted your job and your world is. And I think that it's just about that mindset shift that sometimes if we flip things on their head, this doesn't have to be like a negative or a bad or a hurt. How can I like look at this as something interesting or be curious or learn, or maybe it opens more doors. And I think that that is one way to like remove that boulder or at least make it seem smaller, just
Mhm.
our perspective of how we're sort of looking at it, right?
Right. Right. Definitely. So.
Do you have any last sort of takeaways or thoughts or advice for folks who might be just feeling like stuck in their professional space, feeling kind of limited, kind of like down on themselves or in that tunnel vision? What might be some takeaways to help them sort of shake
Um,
that?
I found, so I have to have my stress like there are certain things that I need to do. And I ebb and flow with what I'm doing. I'm like, I always have to have some kind of workout thing because I've always been that way.
Okay. Yeah. So within your
Um,
body.
it's a stress relief for me.
Hmm.
So I find the thing that works for me, and whether it's class pass or, going, whatever it is,
Yeah.
going for a walk every evening with the dog. I don't know what it is, but that I need that for me.
Okay.
But also, what I found very helpful was, because when you're healthier, you feel better about yourself and your mind and everything
Yeah.
is working, firing on all cylinders. I recently kind of have really taken a downshift on alcohol because as I've gotten older, things get foggier.
Yeah.
So in that regard, and that was just a personal choice. I haven't quit drinking. I just am very selective about when I do have drinks because I get the brain fog the next day, even after a drink or two.
Yeah.
It's not worth it to me. So paying attention to your body and how it's operating, I think, is key. But also writing.
Mm.
Um, and it's easier said than done. You don't just sit down and write, but like I did this group where I still do it occasionally where I join and we work out and we write every day.
Oh,
And it's just a matter of putting your thoughts on paper and getting clarity. And sometimes I just need to work through things, especially stress and anxiety that comes with the unknown. But I'd say those things really help. And then just having people who are in your corner and are
mhm.
like I have the mastermind. So even when I'm talking to people and they have no idea what I'm talking about with real estate or what I'm trying to accomplish, I have these folks who are of like mind and they're trying to accomplish similar, if not the same
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And being around those kind of people, it kind of feeds your soul a little bit. You know, it inspires you.
Yeah.
I think
I
that
think
was
the
a multifaceted answer for one.
No, I think those are great. Like, I think the first point being take care of yourself. So
Mm,
whatever your outlet to keep yourself lower stress, keep your body moving, keep your mind clear. For you, that's working out, monitoring alcohol use, journaling, and then this idea of being around your tribe, finding your people.
right.
So I think it's like one thing to have your family and those people can be sports, but finding your professional tribe too. And I think that's huge,
Absolutely.
especially as a business owner that I work alone. I have for my therapy practice, I have like a group I run with other therapists and we just get together every month just to like talk. And I have friends and we connect. And then in my coaching world and Pilates world, I have mentors and I have like cohorts I'm part of as well, a mastermind that just ended, but we're staying in touch. So it's essential
Yeah.
because it's too much to do it all by yourself. And
Oh,
family's
without.
great. My husband's so supportive. My family's so supportive at friends, but like it's not, like they've got their
Yeah,
stuff too.
but
Like
sometimes
it's
they get the
different.
glaze over their eyes when you're
Yeah, they're like,
talking about your
what?
field, right?
Right, right. Or they're like, I don't know. It sounds,
I don't know what you're
but
talking about.
it's fun to be with the people that are like in it with you that are also like go-getters. I, someone as last that too was talking about be in the room with the people who are like the one step ahead of you, right? Like look
Yeah.
around and if again, not that you like leave everyone else behind, but how are you always getting into that next room with that next like level of
Hmm.
person to keep you going to keep you sharp, to keep you motivated. And I liked that. Like, what room do you want to be in, and who are those people, and how do you get there?
Absolutely. I mean,
I
that's what
think it's
sports
good.
teams do, right? Like my
Yeah,
kids are playing soccer and they're not going to get better playing to teams that are not as good. They're
yeah,
going to get better playing against teams that are better.
yeah, yeah,
And so they have to keep striving, and that's just what we have to do too.
yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Is there anything you want to share or promote, or that we should know about? Um,
Uh, no, I mean,
you're in New Orleans, and you need to
I don't
have
have, I'm
Lanay, your
Louis,
lady.
yeah, Louisiana House Partners.
Yes, I'll link your.
.com is my site that I do for finding properties and things like that. So you can find me there. I think I have to renew my other site to just kind of follow along, or you can find me on Facebook
Okay, yeah,
and
I'll put it
or
in.
Instagram on there too. But Louisiana House Partners.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I will see you all next time, and I hope everyone has a good rest of your day. Bye.
Okay, thank you.